Hi, everyone. I'm Kira. So excited to be spending some time with you guys today. First half of this presentation, we're going to talk through kind of where TikTok's at today, how you should be thinking about if TikTok is right for you and when you should get into the channel. Then I'm going to pass it over to Akash, and he's going to talk more about once you know you're ready to get into TikTok, how you should actually approach building a really scalable and strong strategy. So first, let's talk about kind of where TikTok is. I think it's important to understand where a platform is, who is on the platform, how you're using it, and also where a platform is headed, especially for something that is growing so quickly like TikTok. So TikTok has hit the point where they have over 1 billion monthly active users. This is a really nice indicator that they have eyeballs on the platform, and it's really helps them to kind of expand out to be more mainstream. As they've approached this mark, we're seeing a lot of diversification in the demographics on the platform. Usually you hear TikTok is just Gen Z, and so it doesn't make sense for a marketing mix. Not the case anymore. Looking at 2022 data, only about 25% of users are now under 19 years old. So great opportunity for more brands to reach their audiences on the platform. Beyond this, what I love to see when digging into TikTok's metrics is just how entertained people are when they come to the platform. Like, they are spending 95 minutes on average, just on average per day on the platform. These are crazy time spent metrics, and they've been able to maintain them as they've scaled. So people really, really like the type of content that they're getting. And I think there's two kind of things that play into this. One, they have a really immersive experience, right? You get on there, you can spend hours without realizing it because you're having this kind of like one-on-one time with people. It's really authentic and genuine content. And it kind of feels like hanging out with friends or seeing behind the scenes and learning about new things. And so when you have this type of content on a platform, it's really easy for people to get sucked in. But what's cool is that people actually want to discover new content on the platform. And that creates a really nice opportunity for us as marketers. People are going there to find new things. So let's figure out if it makes sense for your product to be there for them to find your product. I also love to see that buying behavior is also increasing on the platform. So this is one of the things that we really like to look at when thinking about performance marketing specifically. Having eyeballs is great, and we love building a brand, but at the end of the day, like, we are all trying to drive revenue. And so what's great is that really TikTok was able to identify when iOS 14 rolled out that there was going to be a gap, and they sprinted at this gap. And so in 2021, they actually doubled their headcount on the ads business within TikTok. And so they've got a lot of really smart people, a lot of which they stole from Meta, and I saw leave when I was there. So they've basically taken a lot of smart people in the industry and they're putting them all on their ads product. So you'll see a lot of changes over the next couple of years in what TikTok ads are doing, how quickly they're learning different product features that are coming out. But beyond that, they're not just taking an ad revenue approach. They're also really integrating this buying behavior into the platform itself. And so one of the biggest campaigns that they did around this was really launching the hashtag TikTok made me buy it. So they were trying to take this kind of discovery metric of, like, we know people want to see new stuff, and now we're trying to build trust and show them they can actually buy these products from our platform and discovering them. And so we continue to see this build. And I think this is a place where us as marketers need to continue watching, because when we start to understand how consumer spending is trending and where it's going, that will help us to evaluate the right time to jump into the market. So that's where TikTok is. But where does TikTok fit into your strategy? And, like, should you be going on to TikTok? If so, when? These are all questions that we have to field as marketers when making the decisions of, do we want to expand into this channel? So the three big things that I like to think about when making this decision is, first and foremost, product channel fit. Very important on TikTok. TikTok's a very visual platform. So if you have a product that can show visual payoff, solve someone's problem visually, these types of products are naturally going to be a better fit with the platform. This isn't to say that other products won't do well. You just have to probably be a little bit more creative in how you position them on the platform. We also like to think about creative and audience under this product channel fit. So within this presentation, you will hear us talk a lot about creative. It is the most important aspect when you're getting into TikTok. And when you go and experience TikTok, you'll really be able to feel the type of creators or type of creative. And a lot of it's from creators. It's very genuine and authentic. And it's a little bit different than what a lot of brands put on other social platforms. So think to yourself, do you already have this creative? And if not, are you willing to get it? And that's a good question to ask yourself when thinking about it. The other area is audience. So we saw that demographics are shifting. So there's a better chance that your audience is now on the platform. But beyond that, doing some, research into organic hashtags and things like that can give you an idea of if there's a subculture on TikTok that is ready for your product. The next is understanding why you want to get into the platform. So usually there's two key reasons that brands will come to us with. The first is diversification for diversification's sake. After iOS 14, I think all of us learned just how much risk we expose our brands to when we are putting a lot of our eggs in one basket. Specifically Meta. We learned the hard way. So with a change, CACs can change quickly. And so we want to make sure that, for brands, we can diversify. And that's a valid reason for coming over to TikTok. The other is that people are seeing diminishing returns in other platforms. And so they want to find a new platform that can help to drive down their CAC. So the way this works is, you're not immediately going to see a lower CAC on TikTok than what your Facebook account is driving. But as you scale Facebook and see diminishing returns naturally there, you're then going to be able to get into TikTok for a relatively equivalent CAC of the scaling on your Facebook. The next is to understand how easy it is to test in to this channel. And that's where TikTok is a little bit tricky. So it's going to be a little bit harder to test in TikTok. It's not going to be as plug and play as some of the other social platforms like Pinterest and Snap. It takes longer for the algorithm to learn just because they're still really building their ad revenue model and that algorithm. And so, you're really going to need some time and budget to come into this. You're also going to need that really specific creative. So TikTok's a little bit more of a commitment than some of the other smaller social platforms. Talking a little bit more specifically about budgets and timelines. I know you guys want me to give you this tried and true, you need this amount of money and you need this time frame. But here's the deal. It changes for every brand that we work with. And it's just because every brand is a little bit different. But what you should keep in mind is when you're going in to test a new channel, your objective is just to figure out can this channel eventually hit my target CAC or ROAS goal. And so we like to think of it this way because you're not going to hit it immediately when you get onto a platform. It's going to take time to optimize and learn. And so you want to make sure that you give it enough time to actually do this before you pull out too early and what could be immediate an incredible platform for your business. You don't get to that point because we pulled out too fast. So we like to try and give it a little bit more time. And then also just starting to think through of some of the factors that will change the amount you need to invest and how long you need to invest is thinking through for example, how long does it take someone to purchase your product? If it takes a long time, you're probably going to need to increase your timelines because if you're going to have to understand how TikTok changes that customer journey for you. So you're going to have to get through that customer journey with people. There's also considerations like how well can the platform attribute the user data that you have and how sophisticated is their algorithm. While this is pretty constant at Facebook right now, at TikTok, this is changing quickly. And so when you go into TikTok will change how long it will take to, so roughly what we see as our guidance that we will give, but that you need to really assess for yourself is roughly $50K a month for 3 to 4 months. That'll work for most brands. But again, please, please, please take this recommendation and make it fit for your brand. And if you need help, that's where we can come in. Talk to us and we will walk you through all of this. I also just want to call out that you can spend less. We're not saying you have to spend $50K. It's just this is kind of where we start to see that brands can get a really strong read on if the platform will work well for them. So that's all from me. Now I'm excited to turn it over to Akash to talk to you guys about once you're ready to get into TikTok, how you can actually do that.
All right, thanks, Kara. Hey, everyone. Good to be talking to y'all. So, in the beginning of this, I'm gonna run through this. It might seem a little bit rushed because I really want to spend a lot of time talking about creative. But in the beginning, I'll address some of sort of the more checklist items of what you want to do to set yourself up for success. So, the main thing, and I'm sure you may have heard this before from other people or anyone that you know that's running TikTok, is that the reps are really hands-on. They tend to be more involved. They'll put things together for you. They really are here to help you. And from an account structure perspective, you'll see on the next slide, what they'll do is they'll give you a full funnel media plan. Right now, fortunately, because the channel is fairly early, it's really not very difficult to get a rep. You just need to get an intro from someone who already has one, and within a couple of weeks, you'll get one. Anyone who's dealt with Facebook over the last few years knows how much of a challenge it can be. And so what they'll do is they'll likely prescribe you a 3-step funnel where the top will be optimized towards video views, middle will be to add to cart or initiate checkout, and then bottom of funnel with complete payment. Depending on your brand and how your rep looks at it, it may be a recommendation to do it sequentially, like run top of funnel for a couple of weeks, then middle, then bottom, or simultaneous with budget sliced up between the three of them. Or just follow whatever guidance your rep gives you. They will, of course, it's a sales job, and so they'll tell you want to spend 3,000 or whatever a day. You don't need to be spending that much. Like we said, 50K is definitely, it should be enough to start. You don't really need to budget beyond that, and even like marginally less than that can be okay for brands in specific positions. So a word of warning, and we've emphasized this a few times, and it can't be hammered home enough, is be prepared for terrible metrics at the beginning. An order of magnitude beyond whatever your target bottom of funnel CPA might be is not uncommon at all. I've seen it in accounts that I've taken to 500,000 or more spend a month just on TikTok. The algorithm is not as seasoned as Facebook. The Facebook pixel has been around for so long. It's on almost every significant website on the internet and has been for close to a decade. With TikTok, that's just not the case. And so you need more time with specific traffic coming to your website. Just trust the process and work closely with your reps to understand where in the process you are. Okay, so a couple actionable things here. Placement wise, the news feed and Pangle are pretty much useless, so uncheck those. This will be in the ad group configurator when you're going in to actually build out the ads. You just want feed only. Advanced settings wise, I would always turn off video download. You don't want people to be able to steal your content for no reason. And then user comment one is a little bit more of a taste thing. I would recommend keeping it off because unless you really understand the platform already and your ad is kick-ass, you're going to get annihilated in the comments. If it's not a cool ad, you will get ripped apart. So if you're really confident in it, you're in your creative, you can keep the comments on. I would say on the safe side, probably keep them off to begin with because people do not hold back in insulting your brand directly to your face. Okay, targeting wise. So again, reps will suggest going broad initially. And in some cases, you can see here, like there'll be premium whitelist audiences. They don't actually cost anything. They're just called premium, especially in like food and drink or consumable categories. There is an option for automatic targeting. This is kind of like if you've ever run automated app ads on Meta, where you literally just choose, I think, the country and the language and nothing else. In TikTok, it's just country. It can be hit or miss, but it does make targeting a lot easier. But generally, if you're looking to take it to scale, meaning like 6 figures and spend a month or 7 figures, you're going to want to generally go broad. It does give the algorithm the best chance to learn. This is what the reps will tell you too, and in my experience, it holds true. The accounts that I've taken to significant or huge amounts of spend, it's always been on the back of broad targeting. There's also interest targeting, and this is nothing new. You also have hashtag targeting, but be prepared for things to change a lot. I just noticed this like 2 days ago. This came up in the ad group configurator. The option to define your level of interest when you're stacking interest for an ad group that may not be broad targeting, either general interest or actual purchase intention. So this is super new. It was less than 48 hours ago, so I don't really have any context on how it performs. But part of the advantage of being on a platform relatively early and not 8 years or 10 years into its life cycle, is that you have the opportunity to kind of get ahead of the curve and maybe find an edge that most advertisers won't have. So this is something, anytime you see something like this pop up, definitely test it. I'll be testing this over the next couple months. Okay, so bidding, there's really not too much to say here. You'll see we only have one slide on this. There's spend volatility. I think, I started out building bidding algorithms for Facebook, so this stuff is very close to my heart, but I don't really use this at all with TikTok. It's still a pretty immature level of development. Pretty much stick to automatic. If you do try manual, the real way to use it is if you have a very specific time window and multiple thousands of dollars to spend in a day, then you can bid really high to make sure that you force all your spend and got all of it. Other than that, just stick to automatic. Your spend will be all over the place, either intraday, day to day, and it just ends up being a headache. So automatic bidding is the name of the game. Another example of a new product offering is these reach and frequency campaigns. People who have done brand lift studies or awareness lift stuff on Facebook will know. This just launched a couple weeks ago, I believe. Some of the lowest CPMs you'll ever see. It's almost hard to believe, but don't count on any conversions to come from this. This is strictly for like big brands that have a lot of budget, and you just want to see if you can increase that awareness and brand lift through like top of the funnel stuff. Okay, so getting into some KPIs and metric stuff. So primary, the mode of interaction is when people see your videos in the feed, you want to know how long they're sticking around for. So Facebook only reports this on like a whole second basis. TikTok goes all the way down to the 100th of a second. And it's advantageous because the difference between someone that watches a video for 1.03 or 1.63 seconds is a lot, right? And so this is the first indicator. This is the first set of metrics I'll look at when launching new creatives. Generally, if you're getting above 5 or 6 seconds per impression, and then above 7 or 8 seconds per viewer, difference being, for someone who lets your ad loop, or they scroll down in the For You page and then come back up to it and then watch it again, that stacks up on the per viewer column. Average impression is just each time your ad is shown. And so the second number per person is always going to be higher than the first one. The bigger the difference, the more people are coming back, and it generally means that your ad is pretty sticky. So these are kind of the rules of thumb. It can vary again. If you're doing apparel, it'll be different from when you're doing like supplements or like food items, or just general e-commerce products. But generally, I want to be in this sort of time range or higher. Okay, so in the initial few weeks, the word optimization basically just means learning to move downward through the funnel. Again, I'll say it, like, don't expect any great CPA in the first few weeks. The best thing you can do is to continue to add creative. What you don't want to do is hire some expensive studio that makes you like 6 assets and then you just run them for a month. You want to have a constant sort of hamster wheel of creative that pumps you out multiple assets each week. I'll talk more about that at the end. Stick with your reps media plan. They'll tell you, what kind of assets you want to have for each level of the funnel. Another thing the reps will tell you that I fight against a little bit is that you want 1,000 events at a particular event in the funnel before moving down one level. For example, 1,000 add to carts before you move to purchase. Personally, in my experience, that hasn't been necessary. Once we get to 400, I'll start dropping hints in the weekly calls with the reps saying, okay, like let's think about moving to the next step. And then once we're at 500 or 600, like I'm ready to launch the next one. So the best thing you can do is just keep getting new creative made, let the learnings stack up at for the Pixel event, and then prepare for the next set of creative that speak to a different level of the funnel for your subsequent launch. Okay, so attribution and measurement, this can be a sore spot for a lot of media buyers or creative people because we don't really like doing it. And I'm definitely not unbiased on this. So I always say, go get an expert to do it. Like I don't really like doing this stuff. But it sounds funny, but it's also true, because if on Facebook, 85 or 80% of your performance comes down to the creative, I'd say on TikTok, it's closer to 95, maybe even 98%. It really is all about the creative. And so someone who's good at TikTok media buying is good at the creative thinking, and they're not a dev. They can think numerically, but they're not like technical people. So go get someone with dev skills to do your pixel stuff. The documentation is very thorough. There's a ton of different events you can do. Ideal state is that you do it in developer mode, which is the more advanced setup. You can do things like, when people scroll 75% down a page, then you trigger a pixel event, and you want it to send from the server side, not the browser side. And that's about the extent I can speak to it technically. I would say give it to someone who knows how to do the dev stuff. Basically, it'll help you out. Okay, so this is the stuff that we actually want to talk about, which is around creative best practices, and this is kind of the meat of it. So everything I said so far is maybe 10% of the equation. It's sort of more checklist based. The creative is a much more unlimited sandbox, and it's a much bigger playing field where you can make a lot of mistakes or do things right, and that's where I spend vast majority of my time. That's where the magic and also the money is for TikTok. So this is a phrase you'll hear from reps all the time, which is don't make ads, make TikToks. And it almost sounds cheesy, but it's really, really true. It shouldn't feel like an ad. Ideally, it feels like someone is shooting a TikTok to share a life hack, which is your product, with a friend, and it just is in the format of a TikTok, So with Meta a few years ago, we saw UGC take off, and TikTok requires the same kind of thing. That you want you want it to feel homemade. You can still use DR principles, but have it feel down to earth. It doesn't necessarily need to be cheap or low budget, but as soon as your ad feels authentic, people are disappearing. Like, it's ruthless, and you'll be surprised. You'll see ads with 1 second dwell times. Okay, so let's get into some examples, because I can talk about it all day, but I think actually seeing ads that I've run will be the most helpful. So this one, it's pretty self-explanatory here if you just want to play it. Right, so it's like 8 seconds. This is it's a finance app that basically gives you a cash advance, without any interest or late fees. It uses a trending sound. It was used during a time when the sound was really popping off. Very quick ad. And the thing it does really well is it uses like the drop, which is the point of transition in the song musically, to hammer home the value prop. This point is lost on a lot of people, but it's really important. You'll see the ads that really work and the sounds that take off on TikTok that are trending. The drop always matters, and it's kind of like the crux of the ad, where you really talk about what you're offering happens at the drop, and it gets kind of hammers the point home in like multimedia kind of. Okay, yeah, let's watch this one. Pretty self-explanatory as well.
Finally throwing my vape away.
Okay, so this is obviously a breathing app, sort of mental health related. This sound, you've probably heard this everywhere. It was trending really hard for months and months. Obviously very lo-fi, 20 seconds roughly. Product demo, it talks about the benefits of the product in a demonstrative personal way. So another example of a great ad. What I would say is that it could have used a CTA at the end, but this still performed really well. I think we went and ran it on Facebook and Instagram as well, and it did well across all the platforms. Okay, this one is really funny. You like this.
Hey, babe.
Yeah.
Can I get some money?
What? No.
All right, I'll just get some from Bridget.
Who's Bridget? Who the hell is Bridget? Wait, come back. Who's Bridget?
Babe, it's just an app. They send you up to $250 within like 2 minutes.
Well, you'll have to pay interest.
No, that's the best part. There's no interest or credit check.
Are you filming a TikTok?
Yeah, so that probably took 30 seconds to film. It's literally one shot. These ads that start with someone pointing the phone to the ground and then swiping up are kind of like a hack, because it automatically gives you an extra 1.5 seconds or so of dwell time. So I would recommend, if you can do it in an organic way, do that. This Bridget ad and that other one combined probably spent like several hundred thousands of dollars on them. which is, it's funny because with TikTok, you can create these ads that feel so homegrown and organic, but you can put a ton of spend behind if they generate conversions. All right, yeah, this is a good one as well.
Vegan diet helped me heal, and as a result, I avoided surgery twice in the last 7 years. During the times when I'm very busy, like this summer, Splendid Spoon meals have saved me. I love their meals because they're 100% plant-based, no processed sugars, no natural flavors. They're so delicious, full of antioxidants that help your body fight disease and stay healthy. They're ready to eat, just warm them up. If you've been wanting to add more plants into your diet but you don't have time, then you should check them out at splendidspoon.com.
Yeah, so this one is so homegrown and lo-fi. I don't know if everybody caught that, but she actually made a mistake in the voiceover and said no natural flavors when she meant to say all natural flavors. But this is the highest spending ad on this account on TikTok, and it's the one that's doing the best. It feels really lo-fi, but again, the pace of editing is very fast. You know, it's hard to get bored because there's so much editing going on, but not done in a way that's totally ADHD. She does bullet points, text overlays are organic. Anything food related, you want to show the stuff being consumed in the first like 2 to 4 seconds. I said 3 to 5 here, but even faster, you can't go wrong. The ads where it's a box outside a front door and then it's 10 seconds of unboxing in the kitchen and emptying them out at the beginning before you get to the food. Like that doesn't work anymore. That worked in 2016 or whatever it was. But these days on TikTok, get straight to like the money shot with people actually eating the food quickly. Okay, this is my favorite one.
And the answer to your question is yes. It's a lifestyle.
Okay, so again, super fast. I'm a fan of these ads that just get to the point and use trending sounds in a funny way. This is Gal Gadot, who is the Wonder Woman, her mac and cheese e-commerce brand that she started. Really popular trending sound, you know, used in like the time that it was actually trending, not a year later once everybody knows it. So people on TikTok who are users of the app and are on there every day, if you get on a sound within a week or two of it getting hot, that's a huge advantage. It'll increase your dwell time a ton. Again, she's eating it the whole time. Her energy is just really funny. And note that the mirrored camera, like lo-fi stuff like this, little mistakes like that don't work against you. The more authentic, the more homemade it feels, the better off you're going to be. Okay, now this one is a little more refined and upscale feeling, but still is a very authentic TikTok kind of vibe. You'll see what I mean.
3 reasons why I love Grove Co. cleaner concentrates. 1. They're effective. The multi-purpose cleaner cuts 2 times more grease, and the glass cleaner leaves your windows sparkly clean and streak-free. 2. Their scent. The cleaner concentrates come in a variety of fresh scents with 100% natural fragrances like orange rosemary and lavender and thyme. And 3. They're sustainable. Unlike other big brands, these have recyclable glass packaging, making it safer for the environment. Shop Grove and get a free cleaner concentrate set with your first purchase.
Okay, so the number one thing this ad does that's better than all the other ones is that it has a compelling TikTok offer as the CTA at the end. Something I've started to bake into all my ads, so that's a big takeaway. You know, the hook is great. The design is done. It's done in a refined way. It doesn't feel like lo-fi or grungy at all, but it's still authentic. So I think this is it's just a good example of good content from a premium brand. Okay, yeah, this is a good example of native style content as well. Okay, so this one, it's the thing that really makes this a good ad is that it has a native presentation. There's a feature on TikTok called duets where you can duet a video and they appear side by side in the feed. I almost never see ads that use that, right? So immediately that makes people stick around more because it doesn't feel like an ad. The hook is good. You know, the narrative arc, you just want to see what she's talking about. I do think that the timing of the overlays and stuff could have been ping-ponging a little bit more so you weren't fighting for attention on 2 sides of the screen. But overall, the fact that it's a native kind of vibe lends itself a lot of credit. And I think it did well for that reason. Okay, so the trending sound ad, I touched on a little bit of this, so we'll run through this quickly. Basically, take the sound and then just map your product benefit or story to it. So with the Bridget one, there was like a little bit of an upswing and then a drop. And so it's like, I don't have money, but now I do. So the narrative structure can be very easy. The ad doesn't have to be long. It's simple to do, but it just has to feel really real. And you like find the person on your team who actually uses TikTok the most when they're not doing work, like at home, and ask them to come up with ideas and find sounds. Like that's the best way to keep it natural feeling. Okay, direct response style ads, a little more complicated, of course, because you're not relying on a trending sound. So there's 4 key components. One would be the hook, that's to capture attention. For example, 3 reasons why I did this, or like, here's why I bought this off TikTok. Then just list out product benefits, make sure that you're cutting every 1.5 to 2 seconds so people don't get bored of watching. Emphasize strengths versus the competition. You don't necessarily have to name the competition, but just say you're doing like magnetic eyelashes. It's like, these don't fall out when I'm out dancing or something like that, like the other brands do. And viewers, basically, you want them to believe that your product is the only product for their pain point or what they're looking for. And then really important, especially now that more advertisers are getting on the platform, close with a TikTok specific offer. Conversion rates do tend to run meaningfully lower than other paid platforms. So create a TikTok code, include it on the page. If you have the UTM TikTok in your URL, have it dynamically appear that like, welcome from TikTok, here's a special offer for you. All of that will help boost your conversion rate on site. A few examples, like I said, blank that actually works, my blank routine. Here's what I ordered and what I got. This one is really powerful because you can actually show your landing page at the beginning of your ad, meaning like, here's what I ordered, and they're showing their laptop with the product, with the page, and then they show the product physically. And then if the person clicks through the ad, they are landing on the same page that they saw at the beginning of the ad video. So the congruency is really strong. It'll help like decreasing your bounce rate and will also help with conversion rate. Yeah, so shoot for cuts that are an average of, I would say closer to 1.5 or 2, even pushing 2.5 or 3 is a lot. And longer than 3 seconds, like, go to YouTube or something. TikTok isn't made for that. Shorter cuts can be helpful when doing multiple angles, but too many in a row will be, unnecessary. So shoot for quick cuts. Stuff that your ads absolutely need. Text overlays, you got to have it at the beginning to announce the hook. Got to have it for the announcement of each product benefit. And then at the end, CTA. Use subtitles, ideally not the auto-generated ones. You do it in colored text. So it kind of like resonates and hammers your point home more. And then music. It doesn't have to be a trending sound. It can be if you, it can help like in the examples that I showed. But massive disclaimer, there's a checkbox you have to check regarding having permission to use it if it's a popular song or something copyrighted. And so I would say talk to your legal team about that. This is a kind of an important one. So caption wise, keep it under 30 or 35 characters. If you extend beyond that, it'll move up and take up your precious like vertical real estate. You can see like the unencumbered area of the screen is already pretty small. So if you can keep it shorter, the better it is. Most likely just put your code in. The caption doesn't affect performance as much. It's really all about the video. So you want to leave the space that you have for that. Okay, so now this around creative generation. People are probably asking, like, how do you actually go get all these videos made? And so I'll walk through this process really quickly. I'm using this to make 100+ assets a month right now. It's on covering millions and millions of spend. This process will get you 4, 5, 6 new video creatives per week, depending on what vertical you're in and how mass market your product is. And there's 3 main components to it. So first is this TikTok Creator Marketplace, which TikTok just offers as a free service. Or a free database. It's just a database of creators. You can search by keyword, where they're located, where their audience is located. You do have to register your LLC with TikTok so that scammers aren't jumping on here and getting videos and not paying for them. But for any given company, you can invite 100 creators a week. There's a whole host of do's and don'ts as part of this process. I'd recommend like trusting somebody who knows what they're doing with this. Don't try and wait it on your own because it can get kind of hairy. But the next step is with this, you produce a brief, which is like 4 to 5 pages, pretty detailed, but easy to read. It has a lot of visual collateral. If your brand was a person, how would they talk to the creator, inviting them to make content and get paid for it? Most important piece of it is this do and do not that you can see on kind of on the second page here. Huge list of what they should do and what they should not do to design it for conversion specifically, because a lot of these creators have not made paid ads. They're not used to doing stuff to generate revenue. They're just creating content talking about brands sort of loosely. And so you really have to kind of shepherd them and steer them in the right direction so that the ads are conversion focused yet still feel really authentic. It's a tough balance. We learned the hard way how to actually do it right. And so that ends up being a really important piece of my process. And then the simpler part is just tell them that they're going to get paid. It'll increase their enthusiasm. And then you have this influencer tracker for each week, a new spreadsheet with every creator that responded with interest and was sent a brief. You can track the entire process from start to finish. So did they submit a script? Has the script been approved? If so, what size product are we sending them? What is their shipping address? Once the video is submitted, you can tag your coworkers to review and approve the assets, link directly to their TikTok Creator Marketplace profiles. Also, be prepared for a ton, like a mountain of emails and back and forth. They'll send emails asking for tracking numbers. They'll say they gave you the wrong address. They'll get impatient and expect to get paid the second their video is posted, all that. So creating like a database of templatized answers can help a lot. And this is a process that's been refined over the past year or so, and it's a proven one that makes some great assets. So I definitely recommend using this if you can. That's all I got. Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Thanks, Akash. So before we get into Q&A, we want to just wrap up by talking about who you need on deck to be able to go into TikTok really well. So as Akash was just talking through, there's kind of 4 key areas that you're needing coverage on. This doesn't mean necessarily that you need 4 independent people. It just means that you need these areas of coverage within the people you have on your team. So first and foremost, you have to have someone that knows TikTok strategy and media buying. These might be different people. Hopefully they're the same, but you want that specialist that understands what is going on TikTok. It's a very different world, a very different feel, as Akash mentioned. So having someone that really understands the landscape is very, very important as you're getting into this. You'll also want the creative strategy element here. Thinking about what are those different hooks you can play with? How should you, stage your recipes when you're making these? What sounds can you be pulling in? Someone that can really lead that and hone in on it. This might be your media buyer. This might be the person that is managing your creators. It can kind of fall in different places. It might be a single person on your team. And then you're also going to want someone that can help with the creator management. As Akash was just saying, this can be very time consuming. Lots of emails, you're trying to find the right people, you're trying to get them your product. There's a lot that goes into it. So you need a really good process for how to manage this so you don't hurt your relationship with creators. And then the last one is creative editing. This is kind of a nice to have, and you may not always need it, but sometimes you may want to make edits to the videos that creators are making for you just to add overlays or things like that. So it can be nice to have someone that's able to kind of jump in and help when it's needed. And so as you're assessing on your team where you have gaps in these coverage areas, that's where you can come talk to us. We have a lot of people in our collective that can help jump in on these different opportunities, and even some people like Akash that have these really great playbooks for how to actually go and execute across a lot of these areas. So if you're thinking about TikTok, you feel like you have some gaps, come talk to us and let's figure out what the right strategy is for you.
Thanks so much for tuning in. For those of you who aren't familiar with Right Side Up, we're a collective of marketing specialists who have helped more than 600 companies hit their growth goals. We have expertise across all marketing channels, including performance, lifecycle, SEO, social, analytics, creative, and more. Have a growth challenge that needs solving? We'd love to chat. Reach out to us at rightsideup.com.
Reach for the stars.